Welcome back to Passionate World Talk Radio. Educate, enlighten, entertain. Also, cool your heels. Heard every Tuesday evening from 8 to 9 p.m. on AM, FM 247.com. And this morning, our special guest is from the K9 Warrior Projects Unit. His name is Adam. So, good morning, Adam. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Could you explain a little bit to our audience a little bit of the background of what your organization does?
Yeah, so Canines for Warriors is a nonprofit based out of Ponte Vedra, Florida. We pair service dogs with post 9/11 veterans that suffer from PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, TBI, which is a traumatic brain injury, and or MST, which is military sexual trauma. We have veterans come through with that service-connected disability, and it's a 21-day in-house program where they live on campus. We pair them with a service dog that's already been through our training regimen, and we show them what the commands are and take them out in public. And at the culmination of the event, we have a little graduation ceremony, and then they go home, hopefully to improve their lives.
That is really awesome. Now, I understand that a lot of veterans are still committing suicide every day. And you started a program to help them with these rescue dogs who've been trained to help them get a better sense of reality back into their life?
Yeah. So Canines for Warriors was founded by a very lovely lady by the name of Sherry Duvall, and her son, Brett Simon, was a former police dog handler and dog trainer. He had decided to do some contract work with the government at the start of the wars, and he had deployed and came back and was changed as PTSD can change us. So Sherry started Canines for Warriors to try and give him a new purpose, a new leash on life, if you will. And that started in 2011, and over the past 8 years, it's just exploded. And we are just over 600 graduates at the moment, and they come in and we talk with them about kind of some of the problems that they've got in their lives and issues that they're having. And through the assistance of a service dog, we get them to go back out into stores. We'll take them to Walmart, Target, Publix, IKEA, Costco, all places that a lot of these veterans haven't gone in anywhere from months to years or ever. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
we show them what the healing properties of having a trained service dog can do and how it can help them kind of reclaim their life, and they can go back to doing sporting events with the kids, going out to dinner with the wife, and not be as on edge as they were before.
Right. Now, do these individual servicemen reach out to you, or do they go through an organization or a helper that has them become aware of what your organization does?
So I would say it's a pretty decent mix of how we get applicants to our organization. We've got a few spots that have run on TV. Just recently, we had a former NFL player down at the Super Bowl. He was helping us with our newest updated campaign. We have a lot of social media presence on Facebook, Instagram, and we have a whole litany of providers that have heard about us throughout the country, and there are various civilian providers and VA providers that when they have a veteran in front of them that has a few issues, some of them do recommend Canines for Warriors, and a lot of it can be word of mouth, and they'll reach out to us on our website at caninesforwarriors.org. They can find the application there, fill it out, and then we have a fantastic warrior relations team that helps guide them through any issues they have with the application, all the way through the acceptance of the program, and then we maintain contact with them up until the date that they come through our class.
Now, do you find that the majority of the veterans are from the Vietnam era, or is it spread more across the board?
So at the moment, they have to be a post 9/11 veteran, and that's just something that they had to start somewhere. So that's the era that they chose. Who knows what the future holds? But we do have quite a few veterans that were in previous conflicts that were still in the service after 9/11. But all of the warriors that come through have to be a post 9/11 veteran.
And do you find that more of them are men than women, or is it pretty much evenly spread out?
We definitely have more male applicants than we do female applicants, and I think that's just via the nature of the beast. But it would probably be, I mean, I'm not sure of the exact number, but maybe a 2-to-1, 2 males for every 1 female.
Okay. So, excuse me. How long, no, that's not what I was going to ask. When a person decides to become a trainer, like you are, what are some of the steps they need to go through? How do they go about applying?
So to be a warrior trainer at Canines, which is what I do, you have to have already come through and graduated through the program. So it's one of the things that makes us a really unique program, because there's a variety of programs out there that provide service dogs for post 9/11 veterans, and there's a lot of programs that provide service dogs for Korea, Vietnam, and so on and so forth. But what makes us a little bit more unique is the people that are teaching the veterans how to use the service dogs are also graduates of the program. So I came through the program in May of 2017. I had my service dog, JD, for about a year, and throughout that time I had maintained contact with a few people that worked at Canines in the Warrior Relations Department and my warrior trainer, and had expressed an interest multiple times in coming back and kind of paying it forward. So, just like any other job, after I had graduated the program and felt that I was in a space both physically and mentally to be able to perform the functions of the job, I reached out to Brett, who's the president, and said, hey, I'd love to come work for you. They said, hey, well, that works out. We've got an opening. So I came through, did the application process, and was fortunate enough to get hired on.
That's great. Now, if people in college were interested, would they be accepted into the program?
What do you mean?
Well, I know that a lot of kids that are now graduating from college and everything will want to be involved in service organizations. So if they wanted to become involved in a program like that, would they also come along, even though they may not be a veteran, to become a trainer?
So they wouldn't be able to do what I do specifically, but we do have a litany of positions that are open to anyone's service. Prior service isn't required. And that ranges from our canine caretakers to volunteers to our dog training staff to positions that we have in our front office that are, donor relations and multimedia marketing and all of that. So it would just be like any other job. They would just go to canineswarriors.com or Indeed to see what jobs we currently have available, and they would be able to apply, absolutely.
Okay, terrific, because I know that there are a lot of kids who are either going into veterinary medicine or kids who just really love working with animals and would see a way in order to pay it forward with their country and also help out would be to be interested enough to come along and say, gee, I would like to really work here. What do I need to do? So I try to provide all the information ahead of time to save them the extra steps, because I have found that some people, no matter how bright they are and what kind of degrees they have, it's the common everyday, today, daily, routine type stuff that sometimes they stumble on. So I like to make everything really clear-cut for them.
Oh, yeah, that's always the easiest way to do it. We have a lot of volunteers that come down and help out if it's something that maybe, let's say they have another career that they don't want to leave behind, but they still want to help out. We always have volunteer opportunities. We have organizations that'll bring, a whole chunk of their staff down. They'll volunteer for the day and help out in the kennels. They'll help out with, kind of area beautification. We have a puppy raiser program, and that's all done through volunteers, and they have certain criteria that they have to meet to be able to be a puppy raiser. And they have classes they have to go to and so on and so forth. But, yeah, there's always opportunities for anyone that's looking to join the Canines team.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm wondering, are some of the service dogs used in your program at all that I've seen action overseas?
To my knowledge, we haven't had any prior military working dogs come through as service dogs, and a big portion of that is just the difference in age. So usually the service dogs that we will pair with the post 9/11 veterans are less than 2 years old. So that way we can really maximize the useful life of the dog for the veteran. So usually a military working dog or a former police working dog, they wouldn't meet our age requirements, and it's also a vastly different job code. So they usually will pick very drivey breeds and breeds that really just want to work, 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 work. And it wouldn't be fair to us to pair a dog that wants to just go, go, go all the time and is used to this very high op tempo with a veteran that might be a little bit more of a couch potato.
Yeah, I could see. So there are certain breeds of dogs that you look for that are easier to train or are more susceptible to getting the training that they need in order to be paired off with the gentleman in question?
I mean, yeah, so here at Canines, we don't really discriminate too much on breeds. There are a couple that we don't actively seek out, and that's just because certain states have banned breeds lists and this and that. And while a service dog might be exempt from that, it just creates an additional headache for the veteran. We wind up pulling the vast majority of our dogs from shelters, so we get a lot of mixed breeds, labs, we have shepherds, we have the occasional Malinois, golden retrievers, poodles and doodles, and pretty much any dog. We just have minimum and maximum height and weight restrictions, so we wouldn't have anyone coming through getting paired with a Chihuahua, and we generally don't have too many Great Danes either.
Yeah, and I guess no German Shepherds either, huh?
No, we have Shepherds that come through. We've got, I think, quite a few of them in the kennel right now, and it all just comes down to temperament testing and confidence, and they're usually in training for anywhere from 3 to 6 months, sometimes a little bit longer if they need just an extra summer school, if you will. And it all just comes down to the dog. We try not to classify them too much based off of their breed. We really look at their individual personalities.
Oh, that's cool. Now, when you pair them up with the veteran, what does the veteran need to do in order to take good care of his pet or his service dog?
So, yeah, once the veteran would go home, they're required within about a week or so to have taken the dog to a local veterinarian with the medical records that we provide. They have to continue to do pretty much all of the standard pet stuff. They have to maintain their vaccines. They have to maintain the service dog being on a heartworm medication, a flea and tick preventative, all the yearly shots, and then also maintain their weight. So one big thing that we try to help the veterans prevent is their dogs getting a little bit on the chubbier side. What I tell the guys is, hey, they don't have thumbs, so if your dog gets a little chunky, you're the one that did that. But they're just required to maintain a specific grooming standard, maintain their veterinarian records, so as they need shots and vaccines, that needs to happen. And we keep in touch with them well after they graduate just to make sure that everything's still copacetic.
And the veteran themselves, do you work or counsel with the veteran so while they're using the service dog, they're not going to, say angry word or lose their temper and, strike out or something like that?
So, yeah, part of the 21-day program is they have a lot of classroom knowledge that gets thrown their way. They have a workbook that they graduate with and take home so that they can always refer to that. We have 2 phone numbers for them for various purposes. One, it would be more of kind of a public access thing or maybe a change in their lifestyle, and the other one is if they need training tips, if they have dog training questions, stuff like that. And both of those are manned pretty much 24/7. So if they are having any particular issue, they can reach out to us, and we can address it sooner rather than later and give them some different tools and tricks and remind them about some of the things that they learned while they were in class. But, yeah, we absolutely talk to them about, hey, sometimes you just need to take a minute and woo-saw, and we tackle a few of those issues really in the moment because, like I said before, some of these veterans haven't left their houses in a while, and we, by the end of the 21-day program, we're going to the zoo. We're going to downtown St. Augustine, which is a real big touristy area. So we put them in some situations that might make them feel a little bit uncomfortable. It might get some of their anxiety up so that we can really see how they're going to react when they get home, and then we can coach them and counsel them in the moment, and then we're always available for them once they graduate. If they are having a moment, if they're unsure about something, they can reach back out to us and we can kind of walk them through it.
And I guess you also say there are no guarantees that a person can still want or commit suicide if they're really bent on doing that.
Right. I mean, there's nothing that's going to permanently eradicate suicide, period. And it doesn't matter what the demographic is that you're talking about, even if you wanted to narrow it down to just specifically veterans. But in kind of a proof that our system works is we've got about 600 and some change graduates, and I think we've only had one or two warriors lose their fight to suicide. So in comparison to, let's say, what the VA is currently doing, I think the average rate right now is about 20 a day. So about 1 an hour, 1 an hour and a half, we've got a veteran losing their life because of different challenges that they face. And here we are at Canines for Warriors. We've got about 600 graduates, and we've only had one or two lose that particular fight. So I think the proof is kind of in the pudding as far as that's concerned, that for the most part, this program's really successful in dropping down that suicide number.
That's excellent. Now, do you think that possibly down the road that maybe when people are discharged, they can have the opportunity to have a dog with them so that they don't have to experience some of the problems that may beset them after their first release from the service?
I mean, anything's possible down the line. I know that Canines for Warriors has been helping get a piece of legislation passed. It's called the PAWS Act. It's the Puppies Assisting Wounded Service Members, and there's something else on the end of that. And I think it either just passed the House or it passed in the Senate and it's going to the House. And essentially what that is it opens up the ability for the VA to assist with the cost of training a service dog. So as of right now, I think the current price tag is from when we acquire the dog to when it gets paired with the veteran and they go home. It's about $30,000 to $35,000 to train the dog, between vaccines and this and that and the training that they get and the food and the whole wraparound care. It's about 30 to 35 grand to get a service dog from day one in the program to going home with the veteran. So what the PAWS Act would do is it helps open up that door for the VA to also be able to push out some money so that we can assist more veterans. And it's not just specifically for canines. It would be all service dog organizations that meet a specific criteria. And I think a bigger portion of it is, I was in the Army myself, and we all sit through briefs after briefs after briefs about suicide prevention, and if you need help, reach out and talk to someone. But there's still just that kind of unspoken stigma that, I don't want to go talk to anyone, I'm fine, this and that. So I think a lot of what it comes down to is the service members kind of taking a little bit of that responsibility and being like, hey, you know what, maybe I'm not fine, maybe I should go talk to someone. Having a service dog, I don't think should be anyone's first treatment plan, because it is a vastly different lifestyle having a service dog. But I think, depending on where people are or where the veterans are in their growth cycle and their recovery, that a service dog can absolutely help along the lines. But I don't think it should be the first thing you try, if that makes sense.
Does this also apply to the guys who are homeless, the veterans who are sleeping on the streets?
What do you mean?
Do they also come and apply, or do they have to have a permanent home in order to have a service dog?
So they would have to have a residence in order to come through and get a service dog, and that just kind of also goes down into, we care even after they leave. We do a lot of checking up on the guys and the dogs, and that's from the animal welfare aspect. We wouldn't want to pair a service dog with someone who doesn't have secured housing, because now we've got a service dog that's going to be essentially living on the streets, and they would be in all kind of weather, and it just wouldn't be a safe environment for the dog. But we do have a litany of resources, so I can't speak to if we've had any homeless veterans go through and do the application.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Just because I don't know the answer to that. But we do have a litany of resources that we push out to our veterans, both before they get into the program and after they graduate, that have different, housing assistance programs and stuff like that. So if, we had a veteran come through, if they, let's say, graduated and then a year down the line lost their house, hopefully we would have been able to assist them with different resources beforehand so that we can prevent that from happening. But we wouldn't also swoop in and just take the dogs from them. We would work with them a lot on just figuring some things out.
Okay. And I also want to show, I interviewed a gentleman about suicide, and there is a new number out that's equivalent to the 911 that you can call when you have an emergency. But apparently if you're in conflict, it's an equivalent to that, so you just have to dial 3 numbers, and you are connected instantaneously to a counselor who can help you cope with what you're going through. Would you be able to provide that same kind of number to your service dog so it'd be available should a veteran need it?
Oh, what do you mean? So as far as
it's a new number that they put through as a bill, and it's an equivalent to a 911. So that and it's something recently that's passed, but they're really hoping that people will use it to avoid any additional crisis.
I gotcha. I mean, yeah, that's something that we would absolutely be willing to tell them about.
Or at least have it come with the dog or something as part of a tag, because I bet that knowing that there's an emergency number that they can just dial in on their cell phone would be a lifesaver to them.
Oh, yeah. And they get something very similar to that when they leave here. Like I had said before, we have 2 phones that are manned pretty much 24/7 for the veterans to reach out to, whether they're having a personal problem, maybe they're just having a moment and they need someone to chat with, or if they've got potentially an emergency with their dog. We have two phone numbers here that the graduates will get, so that if they do have any issues, they can reach out to us. But we would absolutely let them know about this new number, because why not? Sometimes you just need someone to talk to.
Oh, absolutely. I was really stoked when I was interviewing the gentleman about it, because not only are vets committing suicide, but the suicide age now is elementary school, 8 years old.
Right.
And I was shocked. I mean, when I was growing up here, there were times I wanted to commit suicide too, but then I looked at all the struggles I had to get through a certain grade, and I thought, no, it's not worth it.
Right.
But not everybody has that type of pragmatic outlook in life, I guess, or they don't know how to be really strict with themselves. So, Adam, please tell everybody once again where the veterans can find you on the World Wide Web, any contact information, and anything you feel that we missed but people ought to be aware of.
Yeah, not a problem. So Canines for Warriors can be found on Instagram, Facebook at Canines for Warriors. They can go to the website, which is the letter K, the number 9, S4Warriors.org. They can always reach out to our front office if they were looking to reach out to maybe talk to someone about applying. Our phone number is 904-686-1956. And from the front office, they would get transferred over to our Warrior Relations team, and then they could remind them and reiterate to them where to find the application.
Terrific. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen and children of all ages, you can listen to this audio interview all over again at https://passionateworldtalkradio.com. Right-hand side of the page, scroll down, come to Cool Your Heels, click on it, and voila, you will see the audio posted. You can also hear it on YouTube because they create the audio to go into a video format. You can hear it on Facebook.com/PWR Network. You can also hear it on a Twizzle line. If you're not up on modern technology, just take your phone, dial the number, and the audio will start instantaneously. And before you go away and stray, Antisthenes said this in the 4th century: pay attention to your enemies, for they are the first to discover your mistakes. I want to thank all of you for listening, and remember to please keep listening. Thank you.